Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss the top pharma ERP systems in 2045. So let's dive right in.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
My name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent, vendor agnostic digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with digital transformation strategy, system selection, and change management. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is top pharma ERP systems in 2025. Before we look at the list, we are going to define how we look at pharma from our lenses, and then the other variables that we have used for this analysis. So in general, this list is of the products and not necessarily of the companies that are building these products. We have included all size of companies, so this is not the size specific list. So that's where you need to pay a lot more attention to the commentary as I touch on each of the system. That's where I'll be talking about which product fits best for which particular market segment. From the perspective of business models, this covers most business models from the pharma perspective. Each of these business models could be unique, and they all may require very different ERP systems. They may have different processes. So pay close attention to the commentary in terms of where each of the systems fit. But for the most part, in terms of the business models, we have included any business models that are part of the pharma value chain, which is going to be any sort of pharmaceutical companies, any sort of biotechnologies companies, cannabis companies, any sort of nutraceuticals companies, R&D, consulting, CRO, etc., any labs. All of those companies are part of this list. Now, some criteria that we have used is product share, acquisition strategy focused on pharma product roadmap, community ecosystem, win rate, technology strategies, as well as investors. So we look at all of those factors. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is BlueLink ERP. And BlueLink ERP is probably going to be fit only for smaller pharmacies or pharma distribution companies. It's not necessarily a product for large or manufacturing centric companies. Now, the strengths that you're going to find with BlueLink ERP, that might not be available with most of the ERP systems, even though they are much larger in size, but functionally they might not be as rich. For these capabilities, you might require an add-on, or you might need to build these capabilities on top of the core system. So some strengths from the BlueLink perspective is things such as your suspicious drug monitoring. Now, this is a very specific pharma process that would require a lot more interconnectedness of your data model, and you need to enable all these processes inside your data model as well as process model. That will require a lot more consulting in general. So these are the capabilities that are going to be pre-baked, pre-flavored, pre-tested with BlueLink ERP, just because it is designed for pharma-centric verticals. When you look at capabilities such as your CSOS or AR cost reporting, or TITSTH transmission, DSCSA compliance, subject matter expertise, when you look at that, BlueLink ERP is going to have. Just one update from BlueLink ERP perspective. Now, BlueLink is owned by private equity. So in general, the experience that you have had before with the founder, that may not be available anymore. That knowledge or the subject matter expertise has already gone with the founder. So that is the caveat when you talk to BlueLink ERP. The support that you have had received in the past may not be the same, just because there is ownership change, and that is very consistent with most of the ownership transition that we experience in the ERP. And From their technology perspective, they were always decent, but I don't know how much update they are going to do, just because of the ownership change. Some limitations to keep in mind. Number one is this is not necessarily meant for pharma manufacturers, only for pharmacies, for e-commerce centric processes or the commerce centric processes, including slightly more POS centric processes. For those, BlueLink ERP was a great. The ecosystem is very small. It's a very small company in general, and the financial position, of the owner wasn't as great. And now you have the newer private equity company, which is also very small in general. So again, it's not as comparable with some of the other larger systems, but it does provide very deep functional capabilities. If you are going to be limited on your budget for your implementation, etc., this could be a great. So that's number 10. Number 9 on our list is SAP S/4HANA. SAP S/4HANA is a very generalized product. It is designed to support many different business models globally. So, for the most part, for the pharma vertical, you require a lot more flexibility from the product and inventory perspective. For example, when you look at the number of lot numbers and the serial numbers that you have to support, and that's where you might hit into some of the limitations, because in general, the SAP model is very tight and rigid, and it's not as proven in the pharma sector. Unless you are looking at only the financial ledger GL, then it's a different case. But for the most part, if you care for that flexibility, then SAP might not be the best fit. Some strengths to keep in mind is superior financial and governance for large pharma companies, ability to support diversified business models. So if you have pharma plus many different business models as part of your company, and you're looking for that financial core for those use cases, SAP could be a great fit. And it does have best of breed options as part of the S4 HANA suite, but those best of breed options may not be as tailored for pharma as you are going to find with some of the other systems on this list. Some limitations to keep in mind is the last mile capabilities related to, for example, DSCSE compliance. For that, you would require a lot more consulting help. You are going to require a lot more add-ons in general. And then for smaller companies, the financial control processes may come across as over bloated. They might not appreciate that if they are not used to using SAP like processes. So that's number 9. Number 8 on our list is Oracle Cloud ERP. Oracle Cloud ERP is a very similar system as SAP S/4HANA. In general, the only difference between Oracle Cloud ERP and SAP S/4HANA would be that Oracle is probably going to have a lot more installations in the pharma space, just because they have some legacy installations from the JD Edwards world. And JD Edwards was a lot more proven in the large pharma vertical. So they have a lot more presence in the pharma vertical. But overall, it's a very similar system as SAP S/4HANA, and that would be for large companies, and that's number 8. Number 7 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. And Business Central is a very lean system overall from the ERP perspective. The biggest benefit that you have with Business Central is number 1, the ecosystem. So you are going to find a lot more options in general to sit on top of your core ERP. So even though the ERP layer is going to be lean, it does provide flexibility from the pharma perspective. It's very well proven in the pharma space, even though it is not going to have all of those formulation centric capabilities that the most of the pharma companies are going to do. But Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is a very customizable system, and there are several add-ons available that are proven in the pharma space. So that's why it's a great fit for pharma. Some limitations to keep in mind is it will require a lot more add-ons. So in general, you need to scrutinize this a lot more, because some of these add-ons may not be tested together, and if you are using too many, sometimes there could be vendor risk. So that's the risk that you need to keep in mind. But if you have very controlled implementation, you have very seasoned team, you have IT maturity inside your team, then you should not have as much problem. But that is going to be given just because you have too many add-ons. So that's number 7. Number 6 on our list is 10 Process Pro, and this is going to be for smaller pharma companies that care for that suite center capability. but they are going to be limited on budget. So this one is going to be the whole integration, every single system that you are going to require, including your supply chain centric capabilities, PLM, etc. All of that is going to be part of the suite. It's going to be pre-integrated, pre-tested. But the only caveat is that you are replacing pretty much everything, and you have to buy everything in one piece. If you sort of pick and choose, then you are going to run into issues from the integration perspective, from the risk perspective, and it might end up being more expensive than the other product. But if you're buying everything as part of the suite, then you are going to get a lot more value in general with the Aptean product. Limitations with Aptean is, again, it's not a very diverse product. So if you are very pharma centric business, and you are always going to be pharma centric business, you don't expect any sort of changes with your business model, then for that, Aptean Process Pro could be a great fit. And the ecosystem is not as strong. So finding consulting help, finding developers could be a challenge. For the most part, you are relying on their professional services. So that's number 6. Number 5 on our list is Syspro. And Syspro is a relatively smaller system. Even compared to your Aptean Process Pro, it's going to be smaller than that. It is installed in a lot of smaller pharma companies. It does have the whole discrete and process support as part of the product. So that's a huge plus for a lot of pharma companies. But when you look at the real core pharma capabilities, that might not be as deep. For that, they are probably going to require add-on or customization on top of the core platform. So that's going to be a little negative for Syspro. And the whole lot number and serial number flexibility that you are going to require might be limiting. It might not be as flexible as with the other systems. And it might not be as complete suite. So those are some of the weaknesses. And that's number 5. Number 4 on our list is ECI-DCOM. And ECI-DCOM is probably smaller than Syspro product. But for the most part, it is going to be very operationally rich. It's proven with very small pharma companies. The core ERP layers are not going to be as deep. If you are going to be in the pharma and you require DTC e-commerce centric capabilities, then this is going to be a great fit. This is a great fit for companies that are outgrowing QuickBooks. They are looking for slightly easier system as opposed to much larger system. Even Syspro is going to be comparatively larger, and that will require a lot more implementation help compared to your ECI-DCOM product, which is going to be much easier. But again, the layers are flat. So you are probably going to find a lot more workarounds in general with ECI-DCOM. It might not be as natural overall from the ERP implementation perspective as some of the other ERP system. And they have flattened that just to improve the user experience, but that's the con of those layers. So that's number 4. Now, number 3 on our list is QAD. And QAD is ideal for pharma companies that are going to be heavier on supply chain. QAD has a lot more installations in the medical device space. Pharma not as many, but it does okay in the pharma space as well. The strengths to keep in mind is number 1, global capabilities and the supply chain suite. It also has those discrete plus the process manufacturing capabilities. Sometimes that could be a huge benefit for companies that need both of these processes supported as part of the same product. Some other products that are primarily designed for process manufacturing, for example, let's say if you look at Aptean Process Pro, they might not have as deep discrete capabilities, and that's where QAD could be a great. Now, overall, from the ecosystem momentum perspective, QAD is not as strong from the pharma perspective. And then it is probably going to require an IP on top of pharma vertical that might be a very thick IP compared to the other systems that we have on this list. So that's number 3. Now, number 2 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 FNO. And Microsoft Dynamics 365 FNO is a very similar product as your SAP S/4HANA as well as Oracle Cloud ERP. It's designed for those upper mid-market, lower enterprise companies that care for that global financial consolidation in a lot of countries, geographies. Some of these systems might not even be available. For example, let's say if you look at ECI-DCOM, QAD, CISPRO, etc., they are not available in every single geography. In those geographies, the only thing you are going to have is probably Microsoft, SAP, maybe Oracle. And then what you will require is you will require a thick IP on top of this, because they are not going to have as deep pharma specific capabilities, but you don't have options, because this is probably going to be only one of the few options that you're going to have in those geographies. But overall, it's a very similar system as your SAP S/4HANA, designed to support very diverse business models. Ecosystem is going to be one of the biggest, just because you are going to find a lot more options in general. But for the most part, you will require a lot more add-ons, and because of that, the implementation risk is going to be higher. It might be more expensive as well. So that's number two. Number one on our list is Sage X3. And Sage X3 was always very well penetrated in the pharma space. They always had a lot more logos in general. So some of these trends to keep in mind from the Sage X3 perspective is the ecosystem. Ecosystem is going to be full of pharma companies, and their process manufacturing capabilities are going to be far deeper compared to the other systems that we have on this list. They are good at discrete process. Sometimes they are stronger on the discrete centric processes, but they are not as strong on the process manufacturing, which could be very complex. There are only very few systems in the market that can support process manufacturing really well, and Sage X3 is going to be one of them. GCOM is another one. Aptine Process Pro is probably the third one, but Sage X3 is much bigger compared to your GCOM as well as Aptine Process Pro. So for global install base, if you're looking for a slightly larger system after outgrowing Aptine Process Pro or your DCOM, then Sage X3 could be a great system for that. Some limitations to keep in mind: even though Sage X3 is very deep into the process manufacturing as well as the accounting capabilities, but when you look at those deep compliance capabilities, for example, DSCSE compliance, etc., that will still require consulting help and add-ons. So that's going to be a little negative for Sage X3. So that's number one. So that's it for this video. This video is also available in the audio form on major podcasting platform. So you might want to check and subscribe there. We publish these videos on a weekly basis, so you might want to hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Also, we are going to link a detailed report that is going to have a lot more details in general. If you are looking for more insights into why we ranked a certain system or why we changed the ranking of certain systems this year, you are going to have all of those details available inside the report. And again, the link is going to be included as part of this video. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.